Free agency's here. Can anything stop Kenneth Walker from ascending to the mountaintop of fantasy football with his new team, the Kansas City Chiefs? Sigmund Bloom here, football guys, joined by the sage Bob Harris. Bob, you're excitable, but where does this rate on 1 to 10 on the excitement level?
Well, we can go ahead and strap the ADP rocket to Kenneth Walker's backside right now. If you were thinking he was going to be a running back 2 in round 3 or 4, those days are over. I'm old enough to remember when Mr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire entered the league as a nobody. Late first round draft pick and rocketed up. I think by the time the season started, he was running back 6 in ADP. Didn't work out well for him, but it's possible it works out well for Walker. I'll be honest, Sig, I thought maybe Travis Etienne would be a better fit here as more of a receiving option and somebody Andy Reid could scheme up that way. But I'm not feeling horrible about Kenneth Walker here. And again, they only have one running back under contract right now, not named Kenneth Walker.
Right.
Rashard Smith. Right. So, and they just gave Walker the most money ever for a free agent. It was $45 million plus over 3 years, and lots of it guaranteed. So I'm expecting a pretty robust role, maybe an even more robust role early this coming season with Patrick Mahomes recovering from a torn ACL. The return of Travis Kelce doesn't change much materially for me from this look. But it's a good offensive line. This is what we were all waiting for last year, right? Was Kenneth Walker in a scheme that he's capable of running in, getting the bulk of the workload. The problem with that, according to the Seattle Seahawks, is availability and keeping him healthy. And it's hard to say. It was his late season run, that 400 plus yards from scrimmage in the postseason with 4 touchdowns. How much was due to the fact workload throughout the course of the season? We're going to find some things out. I'll just go back to 2024, Sig. Watching him play when he was available, he was 12th among all running backs in points per game that year. I mean, he is capable of this kind of production, and I think, we're going to be paying for it in drafts.
But maybe we should, because let's say, he's not going to get into the first round. I don't think so, just because of how crowded the first round is. But if it's a proposition basically of, we know he will put the numbers up like he did in the playoffs, as long as he stays healthy, and we have his track record, that's a proposition that I'll say yes to, because in fantasy football, Joe Bryant, Mayor Football Guys, but also gave us a VBD drafting, which means if he's just not available, what we don't want is a game time decision and, he limps through the game or something like that. But, if I know I'm going to get 12 lead back games in the Chiefs offense from Kenneth Walker, and the numbers we've seen, because buried here is that Patrick Mahomes, pretty much up until when he got hurt, was single-handedly reviving the Chiefs offense in terms of being a factory of fantasy football points. And that's the part where I get really excited. Do you think it's too much to factor that in, Bob, though, knowing that, he suffered a very serious knee injury less than a year before the beginning of next season?
It's fair. I just feel like when we look at these situations, we look at, what the possibilities are. I mean, we're in the instant reaction mode, so we're looking at what the possibilities are more than we're looking at the downside. We're going to get carried away. We're going to be over enthusiastic. It's good to have a little bit of a reality check on these things. And I think for me, that's the reality check was going into last year. I mean, Clint Kubiak showed up in Seattle and talked about, he's the guy. We got to give this guy the ball. That's it. And all the talk about people who come from the team, who cover the team on a daily basis. And I talked to a number of them. It was all about Kenneth Walker. All the discussions were about Kenneth Walker. There was no discussion about Zach Charbonnet. And so, but if there were any caveats, it was that. It was like, can he hold up? Is he good for it? And then when we got into the summer, we started seeing miss of practice time. That was a concern. They kind of played it off as just rest. And it probably was, but maybe he needs that rest. And that's going to be the big question mark. And I'm sure we'll hear things out of Kansas City, but I think, thinking this offense will lean heavily on him. Also, like I said, Travis Etienne might be the ideal fit there with his receiving abilities. Kenneth Walker would like you to know he was a wide receiver in high school. and so you're welcome, Mr. Kenneth Walker, for that one. And like maybe, sometimes we've seen this before with running backs who can't catch the football, just nobody asked them to.
Right. Yeah, this is exciting. And exciting. And again, I just want to circle back. Are you penciling Penn, you know, week one starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs? Is it going to be Patrick Mahomes? And will we notice after effects of Patrick Mahomes' knee injury this year that would make us, like, should we be cautious about the Chiefs offense? Should that be something that is a bit of a drag right now when we're thinking about Kenneth Walker? Or is Patrick Mahomes showing us enough that he is different? He's made out of different stuff. And pairing him up with Kenneth Walker, a talent is like, we haven't seen a talent like this next
Right.
Kareem Hunt. Come on. That, you know, I want to get excited, but that's what I always want to do. You have this experience, and like you say, you talk to everybody. Which side are you on this Patrick Mahomes question?
I'm more on the side of Patrick Holmes as Superman.
Yeah.
Not just because he's proven to be super over the course of his career, he has, but also just, the intention. We saw it, and the good news was, the way the injury played out, he didn't have to wait for the MCL to heal before they did the ACL repair. There was other damage, but they repaired it all at once. So he hit the rehab running. He was rehabbing like 2 days after the injury, basically. I mean, they did the surgery right away, and then he began the rehab. The sooner you begin that rehab, if you time it out, and there are teams that view this differently. I know the Packers have a pretty strict number they put on ACL recoveries. It's worked out pretty well for him. We saw it this past year with Christian Watson. Hopefully it works out well with Tucker Kraft as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think you put those kind of limitations or those hard numbers on a Patrick Mahomes, who, especially a Patrick Mahomes was determined to be ready week one. And that seems where he's at. So I'm okay giving him the benefit of the doubt. But to your first two questions, so yes, but also yes. Do I think it might be a bit of a concern for the offense early on? But would that be a concern necessarily for a Kenneth Walker, who might be asked to carry more of the load? And that goes back to my point is, about his availability and the excitement, enthusiasm I feel over, like, yeah, man, just start the motor, let's go, is that maybe the motor doesn't always kick into overdrive when I want it to, or that's been the case with Walker. So even with the Chiefs having a great need, and I think they will. I mean, I think they will lead into the rushing attack. And when was the last time the Chiefs could say, yes, we have a rushing attack we could lean into? Yeah. They've not had one of those.
No, and again, what's exciting about this and why I say bet the over, get over enthusiastic, is that, like you said about Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on, we know Patrick Mahomes at this point. Gasp, the injury. No, zero in on his pupil, and you will see a flame. He's just like, nope. All right, well, I guess this is the next challenge, the next mountain to climb. And he's made out of that kind of stuff. And again, having Jerick McKinnon in a part-time role was a league-winning running back
play
in this offense when Patrick
running
Mahomes
back
was
2
on.
Down the stretch.
Right. So, just file that away. Okay, speaking of last note, because we got to look in the rearview mirror, or at least look at the other direction here, is Seattle. Well, I mean, after what Kenneth Walker, and by the way, John Snyder, Clint Kubiak, Mike McDonald all get like A+ because they were right. They were right. Saving him made him available to be the MVP and help them win a Super Bowl. So they played this perfectly. How are they going to play the running back vacancy and Zach Charbonnet maybe not being available until very late in the season?
I think they're going to have to bring somebody in, and there are free agents available. Some perhaps who are a good fit for this offense. One of them might be named Tyler Algier, great zone runner. They're bringing in, right? So they're going to run, basically, Brian Flores is basically going to run the same San Francisco offense that Clint Kubiak runs, that zone run scheme. And so maybe bringing in a guy like Tyler Algier would be a great fit for them. And would allow them to continue leaning on the run like they did last year until such time as they can get Zach Charbonnet back in the mix.
Yeah, I like that. And we're seeing with James Conner's deal getting reworked, with the David Montgomery trade, we're getting closer to a running back market. Giants restructure, Devin Singletary's deal, where there's more supply than demand.
Yeah.
And you're starting to look at of what spots are left. Now Seattle becomes the premier spot, at least for this short term.
I would say so.
And it's going to be interesting to watch. We have other running back dominoes falling into place. I know the kind of Gainwell deal happened with Tampa, and we're here in the moment. By the way, thank you everybody
Hi.
We love you. If you're listening, if you can hear my voice, if you can see our beautiful, our faces made for radio, face made for radio, you're gorgeous, Bob. You're a Greek god. Like, but uh, with this, we like hanging out with you. We like you being part of Football Guys. We love being part of Football Guys and representing it. So as we're stepping through free agency, as these things happen, we're going to react to you in the moment, like Gracie Salami would say. He'd be with us, but Denver needs him, and he's coming through for them. We're going to come through for you. So look for us to pop up whenever, because we're thinking about you. We're thinking about football. We hope you're thinking about us, and we appreciate the time and attention that you spend with us. It's the most precious thing you have. I hope we continue to deliver something that is worth that, folks. And I don't even need to tell you to stay classy. We're going to come up with another sign off for the live. In New Orleans, we don't say bye. We say, see you later.